This couch looks a little bit like a porn couch, but okay. Hello everyone, my name is Lumi, and first of all I want to thank you. Yes, you. For watching this video. Thanks to you, I can live one of my dreams and do videos for YouTube, which is great. And also thank every single person that watched my previous video. If you still didn't, you can click here or the link will be in the description box below. This week's shout out goes to this comment, and I love it because you know I'm more funny, you know, like I'm the funny girl, and I really love the fact that you appreciate my humor, because this channel is supposed to be informative, but then also, you know, easy going and not professor-like. I have to learn to switch off my phone when filming. You probably have noticed that today we have a different entourage, and it's because this video is not like the others, so it's not the informative type talking head thing. It's more of a story time. Maybe you knew, maybe you didn't, but I was a speaker at a TEDx event, like TEDx, you know, official TEDx. I can back up this statement with this. I have the speaker pass. There's also my talk over here. Then I got this cool thing with a lot of cards later to that. And I got this one. It's basically from my university because it was the sponsor, but later to that as well. I feel like this video will be long, so go grab a cup of tea or coffee or water if you're intermediate fasting right now, like I do. By the way, go and follow me on Instagram. I post about it every single day. And let's get started. The beginning of this story goes far, far away in time. When I was 14, 15, I decided that I wanted to improve my English, and although I had English classes in school, I wanted to have a nice pronunciation, and I went to YouTube and started to watch video in English, different YouTubers. Anyways, in some suggested videos, I saw a video from a TED event or TEDx event. I don't remember anymore, but it was from that category. And I watched it and I realized that I understood maybe half of it. And the topic was rather weird, but I liked the format. So that was my first time when I met TED. Now, years later, I moved to Austria, and I might have seen some videos from TED or TEDx event now and then, but it was really rarely. And I moved to Austria, started my bachelor's degree here in Austria, obviously. And we had this course called presentation, the one that will always stay in my heart. So what we did at this course was basically looking at TEDx or TED Talks and analyzing them and learning all the rhetorical devices and so on and so forth based on TED Talks, which I thought was brilliant because, you know, I didn't like TED Talks at the beginning because they were on very specific topics and very scientific topics. And now I find out that you can watch TED Talks or TEDx Talks and look at it from a different perspective, not from what they're saying, but how you say it. And this is where my relationship with TED or with TEDx started, because I would go home and watch, I don't know, 5-10 videos just analyzing them. And I knew I was into public speaking early on, and I talked about that in my first video. If you didn't see it, you can click here. You know, I had a feeling, but now I actually found the tools that will fire up this interest. Now imagine the crazy feelings and emotions that I had when in this TED Talk rush and passion and love, I went one evening on Instagram. I saw Lukas Insta story. Lukas is one of my mates in college, university. He also has YouTube channel, by the way, so I'll leave a link down below. You can check him out. Not sponsor. And I saw that it was a picture of the official website of my university saying that there will be TEDxMCInnsbruck. And MCI is the university that I study at, and Innsbruck is the town where I am. So yeah, I saw that. And moreover, I saw that there was a call for papers. So basically, we were invited to send our ideas and get the chance to be on the stage. My heart was beating at 203 million thousand beats per millisecond, and I posted this story, went straight to the website, looked what I had to do, and the requirements were so easy. I mean, you didn't have to have any big prior public speaking experience, and the only thing you had to do is just take your phone or a camera and film a video of 5 minutes of yourself talking about your idea and maybe the structure and so on, like, so that they have an overview what you want to talk about. At that moment, I was like, I don't know what I'll talk about, but I need to be there. This is my chance. So I took my phone, I sat on my bed, it was night already, and I started to think what I'm good at, what do I want to talk about. And a thing that helped me a lot was the topic of the conference. If you didn't know, every conference has a topic, and the topic of TEDxMCInnsbruck 2019 was rethink. So basically, take a concept and present it from another angle. And that was amazing because I had something to say. Now at that moment, I had no idea if there will be only students there, or only students from my university, only professionals. I was so overwhelmed, I knew nothing, and I was just, for the first time in my life, I was so close to TED Talk and TEDx. What do I know? Where I'm an expert in? And I realized that I know many things, but are they interesting for others? And then an idea enlightened my head. So a couple of months before the moment I started to write this talk, actually more than half a year before, I closed a chapter of my life, a very toxic chapter of my life, which was involving a lot of toxic people and toxic relationships. And although I was over it, you know, I was okay, but exactly in that period of life, and I'm not joking, it was happening. Somehow, a lot of friends of mine were going through breakups. I don't know how it happened, but because I'm a good friend, I was supporting them, and I was sharing them a piece of my wisdom from getting over a couple of people at the same time. Suddenly, I realized that a lot of young people, a lot of my friends, somehow lost or are losing the faith in love. And they would rather go on Tinder and get instant gratification rather than like be a little bit single and then find a person and go into a healthy relationship and just, you know, work on it. So that was it. This is how I came up with the topic of my talk. I decided to rethink love because this is a topic that so many people talked about, but it's still somehow up to date. And I think that same as the world, love and the concept of love is changing throughout years. So that was it. Now I started to write. I wrote at the beginning some bullet points, and I decided back then that I want to make a reverse psychology talk. The idea was that I will talk that bad that it will be ridiculously bad, and that people are like, no, that's stupid, love is not that bad. So that was the idea of my talk initially. And I want to put emphasis on the word initially. So days were passing, I was very involved on creating this talk, and then I realized girl, wait, you don't need the whole talk now. You just need 5 minutes of video where you talk about your talk. So, well, I started to film, and I was so embarrassed by everything. I was not used to watch myself, so my voice was somehow sounding weirdly. My face was too round, that was too bad, that was too bad. So I was basically filming the same 5-minute video over and over and over, and I would be so embarrassed to send it to a commission. Now let me tell you something. Exactly this moment in time, I almost gave up on everything and lose my chance and never go through the rest of the experience, and I would never be here making YouTube videos or talking about this experience. I almost missed the deadline, and I'm being serious. I had so many videos that I could send, yet I almost missed the deadline. So the night of the deadline, I was so sick and tired. I just filmed it with my phone with the front camera, and my hand was shaking, and I put it in iMovie because I still had an iPhone back then, cut the beginning and the end, and I sent it. And I posted this story, and I was shaking so hard. I had to go out and breathe fresh air and take a walk because, I don't know, I just couldn't stay on one place for more than 1 second. If any of the organizers of TEDxMCI is watching this video right now, I want to thank you so much, because there was a text, a pretty long text, but the words that I am accepted, you'll see it somewhere here, were in bold. So I saw the text, the whole text, then my eyes were directed to the bold text. I read that. I lost my mind for a second. I was like, no. Let me read the whole text. You never know in this kind of cases. If you are ever the chosen one, it's cool, don't get me wrong, but I realized how much responsibility I actually have, because there were a lot of professionals and I was a student, so I had to act like as if I was doing public speaking ever since I was 1 year old. Maybe you knew, maybe you didn't, but there are certain rules and regulations when and if you want to participate at a TEDx event or a TED event. And we even had to sign up a contract in this sense. For example, your talk should be between 6 and 18 minutes. There are of course exceptions, but for very, very big events, and this one wasn't, 1 million people, but later to that, don't rush it. And another thing was that we had to come up with the title and with the description of our talk pretty early in the process, and this is not necessarily the usual way how it works. If you are preparing a talk or a speech and you have more freedom in this sense, I would obviously recommend to write a description of your speech after you write the speech. To the topic of title, well, for me personally, and based on my experience, there is no rule when exactly you have to think about that. So I went home and I started to prepare everything that was needed. Taking a picture was not difficult. With the title, I already had something in mind even before I met her, and so I had a kind of a direction where I want to work on. I just had to think of the right wording, and with the description was a little bit difficult because well I had a structure in my head, but I didn't have my talk, so I really put my best to write something generic enough so that I have room where I can place my final speech, but yet understandable so people know what's going on. I don't even want to start talking about the process of creation of my speech because it will take us forever. But if you're interested to know the whole process, how I started from the first word till the last word, because that was a process. I wrote and rewrote and again rewrote and changed so many things, and I learned so many things in this process. And I have a lot of tips from my personal experience. So if you're interested in this kind of videos, please let me know in the comments section below. And also when it comes to the title, although I had it in my mind before, I still had to think how exactly to make it, you know, interesting and spicy and not too long. So if you're interested also in this direction, also write me in the comment section below. I will be more than happy to make a video about my speech, like every single step and how I created the title. So let me fast forward and time lapse the whole process till the moment of me having a Skype call with Katrin. So Katrin was our kind of a coach, which we had to have a meeting with and talk about our speech, and she would give us feedback and directions and so on and so forth. So before calling her, we actually had to send her the draft of our speech and the ideas, and she emailed me back that she thinks it's great and the idea is amazing and the structure is cool and she cannot wait to call me. And just for you to understand, the moment when I sat in front of the computer to call her, I don't know if you're watching and you know about the existence of this TV series, Young Sheldon. If you know, this is how I was feeling, the young genius that wrote a flawless talk that is just perfect and ready to be presented. At that time, my talk had around 7 minutes, which was okay because, as I said, the talk should be between 6 and 18 minutes. But it was rather short, and I was like, okay, this is my first talk. It's just so perfect. I don't want to make it longer because I want people to, you know, be focused. So the moment came, we're chatting, I'm telling her everything, and I can see in her face, in her eyes, on her face, in her eyes, that she's not impressed. And Katrin was the nicest person ever in that moment, and she tried to give me a very light feedback. And she said that the moment she read my email, she thought it was brilliant, but now when I explain her what I'm going to do, she's not that sure anymore. Basically, she said that the idea with reverb psychology is great, but the way I put it, she's just afraid that people will either be super confused by what I'm saying or will be bored. Another thing that she said was that separate parts of the talk are good, but she cannot really see the connection between them. And I thought my talk was genius. And now there's a person that, although super sweet and she's trying hard to be nice, but I can hear that what I worked on is not good. And she was even nicer than that, because we had only one call scheduled per speaker. But she said I can email her whenever I have questions or problems. She will help me. And that was super sweet of her. But I never took this opportunity. And stay tuned. I'll let you know why. Just keep it with me. Now the Skype call is over. I am sad. I'm questioning myself. I'm questioning the world. I'm questioning if that was in general a good idea, because I gave my 100% and the work was rubbish, and I was like, okay, this will not work out. But what can I do now? I cannot go back because it's too late. So I sat and I started to somehow rethink parts of my speech and try to find some connections. Now, at this moment in time, I was still a student, okay? I was still going to classes. And we had this course, process management, which actually has nothing to do with this video, but there's one thing that our professor said, and I think that was the thing that helped me a lot. So what he said was, don't optimize shitty processes. So I took my whole talk, threw that away, and I mean it. I think the only copy of it is in my email box. Maybe I'll find it. If I do, I'll put it somewhere here. But I have no evidence of it anymore. I just threw it away. Bye-bye, shitty talk. Okay, we're at the beginning again, but the time is ticking. The event is close. Bye. And the organizers need from us the final talk. Okay, we're at the beginning again, but the time is ticking and organizers needed the final talk so that they can manage the time and also make the program so that they know what speeches or talks to put next to each other so that it sounds good and so on and so forth. Now, I have my title, I have my description, I already have an announcement of my talk on the social media platforms, but I have no text. I was doing everything, you know, at the deadline, at the edge, either on the date of the deadline or the next day, because it was something crazy. And again, that's another story. Leave me a comment if you want to hear the whole process. Let's forward the whole process again. I sent the final talk, I think even the next day after the deadline, not even on the deadline. And I think from that date till the event, there was a week or 1.5 weeks. And even in that time, I made some changes, but they were not that essential, so nobody even noticed. Now, I think 2 days? A day before the event, I think a day, whatever. We had this session where we were going and we were trying the stage and the microphone and would get to know the whole crew and so on. I was more or less relaxed because the event was in the university that I'm studying right now, and the host was Lukas. Remember Lukas from the beginning? He was the host of the event, which made everything much more relaxing because there was someone that I knew. I went to the stage and I realized that it was difficult for me to fake a speech because if you ever experience me live doing presentations, I love doing eye contact and I try to see the reaction of the public, and this is where I either speak more fast or I do breaks and so on. So I work a lot with the public, and this is what I am planning on teaching you on this channel as well. Okay, I'm on the stage, I'm trying to fake the feeling of being in front of a public, but it was okay. I think that was an amazing exercise because when I was on the day of the event, I was already on this stage, and although there were people, I could be much relaxed. After my talk, there were some people from crew that said that they had goosebumps from my talk, and then they liked that so much, and that was so important for me at that moment, because I already had one talk which turned out to be shitty, and I spent a lot of time on the other one, and I was doing it as fast as possible, and I got the feedback that I needed. Now, I don't know if every TEDx organizer has to do that, or the ones from TEDxMCInnsbruck came up with this idea, but in the evening we went to take dinner together, and by together I mean the whole crew and every single speaker. And for me personally, that was insane. I was sitting at the same table with professionals. Next to me was a woman, an amazing woman that is working at my university, and I could experience them having fun and talking about their topics, but you know, in a very normal way. And I felt like that was the place I belong to. There's no need to say that at that dinner I got a little bit tipsy and I did this story, but it was okay, and we didn't drink too much because the next day was the event day. The event day, I wake up in the morning super excited, super anxious, but we're doing great. I realized that the outfit that I wanted to have on the stage will not work out because the microphone, it was not this kind of microphone, it was the one here at the ear, and you had to put it somewhere on the back of you. So I was planning to wear a dress, but I would not be able to put the thingy there. So I had to switch my outfit as fast as possible, and I was actually using, I was in jeans and the shirt that I was wearing in the very first video of mine. Everything was going pretty well. I didn't wear too much makeup, and somehow the time till we had to go there was passing so slowly by, and it was, I think, half an hour before we had to go to the event when I put on my contact lenses, and I wear contact lenses, and one of them just broke. Did you know that contact lenses can break in your eye? Now I asked Max, my boyfriend, to run to a shopping center, and buy me lenses and come back, and then only then we could go, which for me back then was a very, very bad starting and a bad beginning, but let's just go to the event and forget about all our problems. As at any other event, the speakers and the crew should arrive much earlier so that we make final things. And I think I was told on the day of the event when exactly I will have my talk, because I'm not sure, I think they changed something, but it's not about that. So yeah, I got this beautiful pass, and we had to wait for every single person to arrive, and it took ages. Have you ever had this feeling when you're waiting for something and you have to wait for the whole process to happen before you get it? It just takes so long. Moreover, I was in the third session, so it was in the late evening. My talk was the first one in the third session, and it was around 6 p.m. So I had to wait an eternity and fight with my anxiety an eternity long. But honestly speaking, I was sitting through every single talk before, and if you don't believe me, you can ask Max. At the beginning, I was looking at the talks and I was so relaxed, like, okay, what else can happen? They're on the stage, they're doing great, nothing can happen. But then every single talk, my anxiety and my heartbeat were raising just on an exponential scale. Now, as I said, my talk was the first in the third session, so there was a break before. And in this break, I was given a room where I can repeat. And that was the worst idea ever, because I was sitting alone in a room knowing that I will be called by someone from the crew to go to the stage, and I was trying to repeat, but I was so nervous. I would forget parts, I would forget words, I would forget everything, and by every single little failure, I was getting even more nervous. I wanted to drink, but I was afraid to drink too much, so that I want to go pee while I'm on the stage. But then I drank, I think Coca-Cola, but because of the sugar, my mouth was super dry, so I had to drink something else. I don't remember how long the break was, but again, it was an eternity. Okay, the time comes, I am invited to the stage. I went downstairs and I had to wait in the backstage, so that the host, Lukas, presents me and there's a third session, and then I can come up on the stage. You heard this whole story, you know, it's a long story, but I swear to gods and goddess and everything that exists on this planet, I swear I wanted to say, I'm sorry, I cannot do this 2 minutes. 2 minutes before I went on stage. And this is really weird because normally I had zero anxiety before going on the stage. Zero, maybe 1%. But in that moment, I could really hear my heartbeat. Anyways, I'm announced, I realized there's no way back. I go to the stage, I try to look relaxed, I start my talk, and by the way, have you seen my talk? If you didn't, you can click here, or the link will be in the description box below. Anyways, I start my talk, and I have kind of little jokes at the beginning. And I heard people laughing, and I saw people smiling, and I saw that people are pretty relaxed and they're looking at me and they are enjoying my talk. And I just felt really relaxed and cool and great there. If you watch my talk, you know that it's more of a storytelling, so it's more of a story that I tell the public. So on the stage at some point I was really honestly feeling as if I'm standing in front of some friends and telling them a story, which was the best moment ever because I was somehow so relaxed, and that boosted even more the energy that I was giving to the audience. Anyways, people were really laughing at every single joke. That's why at the beginning I said, for me it's important that people feel it. And I think on the recording you cannot hear it that well, but people were really clapping so hard. I don't know if you believe in decisive moments of your life, but I think that speech on that stage was one of those decisive moments of my life where I was really feeling like in my flow, and I knew that I wanted to go this path because I loved the feeling and I saw that the audience was enjoying it as well. Anyways, the talk is over. It was around 11 minutes. I went out of the stage, and on one side I was relaxed and happy, and I don't know, enjoying the thing that is over. On the other side, I was somehow sad because it's over and I liked it. Why can I not do this again? And I was actually a little bit stressed out by the fact that there will be a discussion round afterwards where, like, not really discussion round, but where people will be able to give me some piece of advice, and I didn't know how good it will be. I mean, I knew people like that, but I didn't know how much. My talk is over. I went back to the audience and I watched the last 3 talks, and at 9:30 around like that PM the event was over, and then there were drinks and little snacks where we could discuss, and honestly I don't know if I ever had this mixed feelings in my life. Now if you watch my talk, great. If you didn't, I talk about my experience with toxic relationships and love and so on and so forth. And after my talk and after my performance, there were a couple of people that came to me and said that I was speaking out of their mind, as if whatever I went through, they went through the same thing. And on one side, that was brilliant. I mean, if you ever as a speaker hear that people not just listen to your talk but could connect to you, that's a win. On the other side, I realized how many people have to go through this shitty experience, and it's sad. And for some people it's not long. For some people, they went through divorce, and they told me that. And I was feeling blessed to hear that. But holy moly, every single person has to go through heartbreaks, and it's sad. And it's sad to know that. And not to be sad, there were drinks. So people were drinking. The more people drink, the more honest and open they are. On the other side, the more listening I was. So it was a good mix. And what I really loved about this event was, okay, are you ready? On these pictures, you can see that I was drinking, right? No. There was this brilliant idea of this kind of cards. So there were cards on the tables, and random people could go and write something about you or your performance and pin it to your picture. And these are all the cards that I got. And let me say 99.9% are amazing. I think there are 1 or 2 cards that are not that welcoming, but okay, haters will gonna hate. In the end, this whole event turned out to be a get-together because people that were there only for the input, they went home, and people that wanted to get free drinks and make some networking stayed there, and it was so cool. I talked to so many people about them, about their plans, about my talk, about me, but again, I had this feeling that I belong there. This is one tip that I want to give you. If you are doing normal presentation, you can have your notes. That's really good. If you have some numbers, you go for that. On TEDx events, you don't want to have notes. There is a screen where they will show your presentation, PowerPoint or some notes that you provided them with, and you can look there. If your presentation is more of a storytelling, don't. Now my case is a little bit different. Go and watch my talk because I was using something else on the stage, but I am endlessly glad that from the beginning on I took the decision to not take any notes with me, because otherwise, you know, when you talk to some friends, and this was my intention, to give this atmosphere as if I was talking to some friends. And even now I'm talking to this camera, but I want to make, you know, this kind of not hello everyone, this is me, but you know, like we're chilling here. And when you're doing this with your friends, you never have like really notes there. And this is what I would really recommend you. Try to learn your talk by heart. And it is possible. Just if your talk is connected, and this is a very good thing that Katrin told me, because this is what I'll also change in my second talk. If things are connected for you in your head, it's a story. You don't even have to remember word by word. You remember the path and it will just come. So yeah, that was my experience at a TEDx event as a speaker. Congratulations if you made it so far. Please let me know in the comments below what else you want to hear, and did you like this kind of format of couch cozy, more talking and story time than talking head? Although I think that both are important. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe and the bell button. I'm very glad I could share with you this experience, and see you next Monday. Bye!